Hey, everybody. It's your girl, Bridget Brown Jackson. Listen, we are here with Powerful. I'm so delighted to be here today. It is Wheeled Wednesday. Listen, if this is your first time listening, every Wednesday we go live and we are starting to do this starting today because this is episode number 300. Yes, can you believe it? Can you believe it? So you might be watching by way of video, but you also could be listening to this rather in the audio. So again, we're excited to do something different that we haven't done, but we're in season 6 and this is episode number 300. So we're going to do something different that we've never ever done before. Again, I'm going to be in and out. Listen, this is not even going to take a long time. So if you're a first time listener, come on, somebody shout out and let me know that you are listening for the first time. I always love to say this. Please make sure you like, share, or subscribe if you have not done so already. Please make sure you do that for us. Thank you so much for all of our loyal listeners that listen all the time. You know what I'm about to say. Get you some pencil, get you some paper. Now, you know, some pencil is not English. I am a retired educator, so let me go back and clarify that. That's my excited expression way to say it. Now, I know it's get a pencil, get a pen, get some paper, because I want you to take notes. And maybe you do it by using your wonderful tools that you have in front of you, that phone, that iPad, whatever it is. I want you to take some notes because you're going to walk away with some practical things. But let's kind of get some formality out of the way, though, first. Again, your girl is excited. This is episode number 300. Come on. Somebody talk back to me. Have you ever done something 300 times? Have you ever? And what was those things that you did besides getting up every day? Because if you're a certain age, if you're over a year old, you have done something 300 times. You waking up every morning, right? But what are some of those things that you might have done that's on a larger scale and you've done many times? I'm very, very proud. And we're going to get into it and talk about it in this podcast. But started, I would be remiss if, again, I didn't put my little plug in here and ask you, can you please make sure you give us a review and let us know what this podcast has done for you? When you listen on Wednesdays, it's a short motivational one. But when you listen on Sunday, we most times have a guest in the building that's giving you some nuggets about leadership. All right, so let's get into our conversation today. It's all about consistency. Consistency. So consistency is not just a word. It's 11 letters long, but it's not just your ordinary 11-letter word. It's literally a way of life. So consistency is a way of life. And if you are consistent in your consistency, you like that pun? It will absolutely pay off. So, followers, I just want you to understand and know, be consistent in something. So we're going to talk about that and unpack that. Again, this is our 300th episode. And so there's some things that I had to do to be consistent. And guess what? That consistency has paid off. We have been able to be blessed and listened to on 5 continents. Do you hear your girl? 5 continents. 5 continents. And we have followers that have followed from all over the world. And even when I slowed down, I had to take a break. And so again, if this is your first time listening, you might not know my backstory. But now, 8 months ago, today actually makes 8 months, I lost my 26-year-old son. And I took a sabbatical from the podcast. And even with taking a sabbatical, my followers didn't stop. My listenership didn't stop. It kept going. In fact, it almost was better during those 4 months that I took off than it was even right before that. And so just absolutely amazing. But when you're consistent and you put out things, whatever that thing is that you do, If you show up as the leader, you will definitely have people that will follow. All right. And so I want to talk about the foundation of consistency. Give me about 10 minutes and we're going to be out of your way so you can finish doing what you were doing. So in December of 2019, I started this podcast. But in actuality, the podcast started in 2008. In 2008, I said I wanted to do a podcast. Now, think about that. Some of you might say, I didn't even know what a podcast was in 2008. I absolutely didn't. I had heard of some, I had listened to some, I wanted to do it. But I thought I needed to have X, Y, and Z. And I absolutely didn't. Finally, I've started buying equipment to start my podcast in the early part of 2019. The summer of 2019 got me some mics. I'm like, I'm going to start. And I didn't. Crickets. December of 2019, I start the podcast. I just said, you know what? I'm doing it. I remember where I was at and everything. I was sitting in my car. My husband was driving and I did my little preliminary work that I needed to do because I host this on Buzzsprout. Shout out to Buzzsprout. I host this on Buzzsprout. And then from there, I do my, it goes out to all the other platforms, right? And so I did all of that, waited for them to approve it. And then I was like, okay, let's go. And I did. I will be honest with you. I didn't have this beautiful, expensive microphone, purple, hey, that I have now. I literally I had a lapel mic and I was using my iPhone to do my audio recording. I just tell people, whatever that thing is that you need to get started in it. Do the things that you need to do and everything else will come into play. One of the things that I teach my clients, and so by the way, again, if I'm brand new to you, I'm a coach and a consultant. My firm is called Exponential Eduventures. And one of the things that I constantly tell my clients, done is better than perfect. And I can say that because I had to learn that myself. So in December 2019, started the podcast. And I've been going ever since. Now, we've had some iterations. We've had some different things. It actually started off as a podcast for educators because I'm a retired educator. I spent 30 years in the field before starting and branching off into full-time entrepreneurship. And so I was my clients, my audience was educators. And then guess what happened in March of 2020? Yeah, you guessed it. The world shut down. We had that pandemic. And so I had to pivot. And so I kept the podcast for a minute. It was called Ordained Educator when I started. Then I pivoted in 2021, redid my branding, redid the logo, and came out powerful. And it's been powerful ever since. And so we have guests come on and talk about their powerful stories, talk about their leadership, their development. And the two things that I want to make sure that people always walk away with is authenticity and self-awareness. And so are you absolutely aware? Because of my awareness, I'm able to do some of the things that I'm able to do that I couldn't do years ago, decades ago, eons ago, because of the fact that now I am absolutely very much self-aware. All right. So let's get into my tips and my pointers for you. 3 things I want you to walk away with as the foundation of consistency. So whatever that thing is that you want to do to the nth time, it doesn't have to be 300. It could be 10. It could be 50. It could be 1,000. What's that thing that you want to do repeatedly with consistency? So 3 things I'm going to give you. Number 1, have a clear vision and purpose. Number 2, daily disciplines. Ooh, I like that one. And number 3, resilience and adaptability. All right. So showing up is easy and it's not. So I love to tell people that. I was like, when it's not. So it's easy, but absolutely that sometimes it's not. So what do? Are you consistent when it's easy? Are you consistent when it's not? Because you should be both. If you have a clear vision and a purpose, you will walk through your clear vision and purpose in everything. As I told you the backstory of my podcast, I had a vision. In 2008, I wanted to do a podcast, but I thought I didn't have the wherewithal to do it. And then I did it. And it's been finishing it all the time. Now, I say this is the 300th episode because I had to delete a couple of episodes. So technically on some platforms, I have 295, but this is my 300th time taping and uploading. And I'm so very excited about it because, again, I had a vision, I had a mission, I had a purpose that I set out. And my purpose is for people to understand the power that is within them. For me, I had to take that. I started that work about 35 years ago when I, again, became self-aware. My name, Bridget, even means strength. So I had to learn how to walk in my power. So what is your purpose? What is your clear vision that you are going to totally sell out to and be very, very consistent? The second thing is daily disciplines. Come on. Somebody talk back to yourself. I need you to understand that if you want to have that great thing, you have to have some daily discipline to it. Or I don't like the word discipline because some people have a negative connotation with it. So with my clients, I use the word habit. So what are your daily habits? What do they look like? Are they getting you to your vision, and your purpose? So since the Summer Olympics is coming up, right? Let's think about it like that. Do you think the Olympians become Olympians overnight? Absolutely not. They have daily habits that they do ritually. They have daily habits that they continue to do so that they can, again, have that outperforming behavior that nobody else can catch up with. After all, they're Olympians, right? But it didn't happen overnight. It was a daily action. So I didn't get to episode number 300 overnight, but I had to consistently show up. I had to consistently record. I had to do it when I felt like it, and I had to do it when I didn't feel like it. So again, that being consistent so that whoever is looking for you, they know that you'll constantly be there. And the last thing is resilience and adaptability. So for me, my personal story of resilience and adaptability was about me studying and researching and networking. I did not know what it was to do a podcast. But the very first thing that I did, and I told you all about my son, and this is a great memory that I had. He'll always be a part of Powerful because I was invited to come to a Podfest, actually, in Florida, in what Florida? Orlando. I was like, what's that Disney place? Orlando, Florida. And my son actually traveled with me. And this is when I first started. My podcast wasn't even a month old. I had no clue what I was doing. But I went, I sat, I learned, I networked. I, again, repeated it over and over again. I was consistent about even my drive. And now, again, with 300 episodes in, am I perfect in this? I'm absolutely not. Would I call myself an expert? I'd call myself an in-betweener. But I'm an expert when it comes to somebody that's trying to start because I did that. And I did it over and over and over again. So I can help somebody that's trying to start. And so as a leader, your consistency also will place you in places to be able to help other people. But the resiliency, I want to speak on that too. Whatever you're doing, you have to have some resilience in it because the very thing, think about even when you work out, the very thing that you're trying to do, there's going to be some resistance. And because there's going to be some resistance, then you have to be resilient. And so I had to be resilient. It was times when I didn't want to do. When I interviewed people, it was times that people didn't show up. And so then it messed up my lineup and everything. But guess what? I went on and I did whatever I had to do to keep the podcast going. And so I just want to challenge you to constantly grow, to consistently, again, be there for yourself. So as a leader, how do you lead even when you're in crisis? And so that's where that is resilience and adaptability comes in, because everything is not going to be sugar coated for you. What do you do when you can't do? You be consistent. Continue to be consistent. And whatever you do, please take my advice. Have a clear mission and purpose. Have daily disciplines or daily habits. And last but definitely not least, be resilient and adaptable, flexible to the things and the challenges that come your way, because that thing that you want and you're striving for is absolutely yours. Your personal leadership is a journey that you are on. This is not a sprint. This absolutely is a marathon that you can do as long as you're consistent, because consistency is not just a word, it's a way of life. Hey, everybody, I'm your girl, Bridget Brown Jackson. It has been great to be here with you today. I'm so grateful that you joined us and so very elated that you took time out of your busy schedule, because you could have been doing anything, but you chose to be with little old me. Thank you. Now, the next thing that I'm going to ask again is a huge favor. If you found this information valuable, please like it, share it, subscribe to whichever platform you want to listen on, and then make sure you do a review for me. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. And I always end with saying, you are powerful. You have a great day. And remember, whatever you want to do, you can do.